This is File 086, the Snedeker discovery. What you are about to see was recovered from a sealed evidence locker in Southington, Connecticut. It contains photographs and micro-cassettes that the state officially deemed inconclusive during the 1986 investigation of a former mortuary that had been converted into a family home. The case file begins with a series of frantic calls to the local police department. The Snedeker family, Alan and Carmen, along with their 4 children, had moved into the house on Meriden Avenue just months earlier, seeking a quiet life. But what they found was anything but peaceful. Their new home had a dark past. For decades, it had operated as the Halahan funeral home. The embalming room, complete with its original equipment, was still in the basement. The family's initial reports were dismissed as the creaks and groans of an old house settling. They spoke of strange noises, cold spots, and lights flickering on and on. But the events quickly escalated. Carmen Snedeker's testimony, recorded on a series of micro-cassettes, describes something far more terrifying than a simple haunting. She speaks of a crawling thing, an entity that didn't just haunt the halls, but seemed to live in the very structure of the house itself. She claimed it inhabited the 2-inch gap between the floorboards and the children's bed frames, a space no one would ever think to look. Now, let's examine the first piece of photographic evidence. This is a grainy contrast photo of the eldest son's bedroom floor, taken late one night. At first glance, it looks like a poorly lit shot of a dusty room. But look closely at the patterns and the dust under the bed. They aren't random swirls from an air current. They're distinct drag marks. And they don't look like they were made by a person or an animal. The investigators noted the marks suggest something with too many joints. Something that moved by pulling itself along the floorboards with unnatural limbs. The audio from the corresponding cassette tape is corrupted, but what we can recover is a low, rhythmic scratching sound, like fingernails on old wood, followed by a wet, slapping noise that investigators could never identify. The family also reported a persistent, nauseating smell. It was the sickly sweet odor of rot, and it seemed to rise from the floor vents, strongest in the children's bedrooms at night. The official report attributes this to poor plumbing or decaying animals in the walls. But the investigative photos from the basement reveal something much worse. This next photograph was taken in the old embalming room. The flash illuminates the damp, tiled floor. You can see the old drainage channels where bodily fluids were once washed away. Now, look at the reflection in the wet tiles. The investigator who took this photo swore he was alone in the room. But in the reflection, a figure is visible. It's distorted by the water, but you can make out a tall, gaunt shape standing just behind where the photographer would have been. It wasn't there when the flash went off. It only appeared in the captured image, a ghost in the machine. The haunting became more direct, more physical. The children reported being touched in their sleep, their blankets pulled off by unseen hands. The eldest son claimed he would wake up to find his mattress soaked with a foul-smelling brackish water that seemed to seep up from below. The family tried everything: priests, paranormal investigators, even a well-publicized exorcism, but nothing worked. The presence in the house wasn't a spirit that could be banished. It was something that had become part of the building's very fabric. This brings us to the final and most disturbing image in the file. It's a blurry Polaroid, taken by Carmen Snedeker in a moment of panic. She heard a sound from her daughter's room and rushed in, snapping the picture without aiming. What it captured is the reason the family fled the house in the middle of the night, leaving most of their possessions behind. Situating from under the bed frame, almost touching the floor, is a pale, elongated hand. The fingers are unnaturally long and thin, ending in what looked like blackened, broken nails. It's not the hand of a ghost. It looks solid, real, and disturbingly biological. The Snedekers do want to move out because of the ghosts of the people who had passed through the mortuary. They moved out because they came to a horrifying realization. The house, after decades of absorbing death, had learned to continue its work. It was still processing the dead, but it had started to process the living. This file, despite the official story, remains open. The house on Meriden Avenue still stands, and what lives between its floors is still waiting. Thank you for joining this investigation. If you find these case files as compelling as I do, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the unknown. Stay safe, and always check under the bed.